So I'm here with Franny Tacy, owner of Franny's Farm and Franny's Farmacy, and she's just gotten through a crazy couple of weeks after, dealing with Hurricane Helene. So we've got this interview set up with, just really just kind of seeing at ground level. She's been in the midst of all of it, being at the farm. And so she's going to share with us, a lot about what she's been through, how the communities come together, and what the future of Franny's Farm and the pharmacies look like. So, Franny, first of all, how are you doing? Like, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity to speak and share, and hanging in there. In every disaster is all this beauty, and I call it a miraculous mess, because of the duality. There's beautiful stuff in this destruction, but it's all of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, you have such a good attitude through it. So, just trying to think about, I know this was very unexpected. I know you had a video shoot scheduled around the same time of when the storm came in. So, kind of take me back to like what was actually happening when the storm hit, when Helene came over and just dropped tons and tons of rain. Like, what was that first day and that first 24 hours looking like?
I think one thing is we were all really caught off guard. We knew it was coming, but not that impact. And so the rain started, didn't stop for a couple of days. And we watch and see power went out, no phones, no internet. And so for me, a woman that lives on the land, I think there's such this peace of, the water cleansing and washing things away, but then it really did wash things away. And as we see trees, being blown over in the wind and sheds being falling, and we really, it took everybody almost 2 days to really settle in to see what was going on because we couldn't communicate with each other. And so as we did, we all, I mean, it really set in a couple of days afterwards, because a woman like me on the farm, no power, we're good. We've got food and animals and generators. It led us to a real fast shift, though, because we have over 50 acres and over 60 people that live in our regenerative agri community here on the farm. And we were filling up buckets. Fortunately, on a farm, we got lots of buckets. So we had everybody filling up toilet water buckets and really just focused on feeding people. Our cannabis community, they are so amazing. I mean, cannabis community is just straight up legit gangster, high vibe, badass. Our friends sit in helicopters with animal feed, hay, diapers, water,
Wow.
necessity, helicopters. They were sent U-Hauls from Florida. And these are all my friends in cannabis, and there are psychedelics and plant medicine communities. And so we were really able to serve. It's been over 1,000 meals we've served. Super grateful for World
Mm.
Kitchen that has come in this past week and taken over. It was 11 days. We had no idea. 11 days,
Mm.
no water, no power. Some of the benefits to being on a farm too is we have wells. And what we realized is generators don't run the wells. Way too much power is required. And so we've
Mm.
made a lot of adjustments, but the community here has really rallied for people. And it's so sweet to see people caring for people instead of people caring for things.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful work.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember when I saw everything going on, like I was like wanted to reach out. I'm like, how are you doing? Because I'm thinking the farm, and I know there's like trees falling, mudslides, there's issues with, you know, your buildings and things like that. So what did it look like the day after? Maybe the first 24 to 48 hours when you woke up, you went outside, checked on the animals, checked on the buildings, like what did you discover? Anything that was like alarming or anything that made you feel like you could exhale for a second.
A lot of gratitude. We've been doing a whole bunch of drainage work here, and the previous flood fortunately blew out our stream bank. So we accommodated this flood better than we would have expected. All our drainage
Mm,
ditches are filled with gravel and there's trees everywhere and the hot wire. I mean, the whole pigs and goats out because there was no electric fences. That is a story in itself. It took about, we also, our cannabis community, I put out the APB, we need chainsaws, we got to get out of here. 30 people showed up to clear all the trees in
mm,
not only on my farm, they got that and all around to break open our roadways. So when Monday I finally got to the dispensary, our flagship, our corporate office, our home. This is like part of the heart of our brand, first dispensary, to see trees on the roof, ceiling flooded, the second story
mm,
flooded, therefore our roof was compromised. There was flooding in the dispensaries and a mudslide behind it. And to know
whoa.
it was done. What's
Mm,
next? And to also know no time for that. I mean, we are already
mm,
moved. Another beautiful thing is how we have come together with people that we've been working with. We've been in a 3-month deal trying to come together for new distribution center. Guess what happened in 3 days now?
mm,
And I love things to happen fast. I'm not necessarily the most patient person.
mm,
Once we manifested, I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And so that was pretty darn devastating. And to be out of business and distribution
mm.
is massive. I mean, it's floor to ceiling, you
Yeah.
know,
And that was your
racks. And
first store, right? That was your
that was our
grand
first
opening
store.
store. Yeah.
8 years, floor to ceiling, shelving, every room.
Wow.
And getting that moved and pulling up carpet, and our floors were ruined, and just not even
Mm,
worried. I wasn't even worried about that so much as I was about
mm,
getting back in business. What's next? And that's where
mm,
we talked about this. You kept saying, what's that head in the clouds, feet on the ground?
mm,
That's it. What's next? Where are we going? What are we doing? Fortunately, we had 100 orders in the queue waiting to be shipped.
oh, wow.
And our team, most of our core team had to leave. There's no water, there's no power. I was even saying, if you can get out, go so that you can stay
Mm,
grounded and have a perspective. I'm in it.
mm,
And it's been just sometimes the words to describe it, but the head in the clouds, what's next? All those
mm,
things that I've been thinking and planning, I'm like, guess what? It's happening right here, right
mm,
now. This is happening. And feet on the ground, staying grounded, and I've got
mm.
my whole toolbox for how to weather anything and just be grateful to be alive.
Yeah, I bet. I know it's unfortunately very tragic for a lot of the communities around Western North Carolina. And I think you kind of made out all right at the farm because you're over in Leicester, so you're not really next to, all the big rivers, right? So you had it, fortunately just the location kind of made it a little bit better. But you mentioned, some of the words you've used before is everything's different. And I think you're relating that to just this, the whole nature and the scenery and the roads and like your ability to go in and out of Asheville and the surrounding areas. So on in your point of view of being there and you've got businesses in Asheville, around Asheville, you're all in and about the different towns and communities. What's it been like, when you say everything's different, what does the whole landscape, look like now?
Yeah. For one thing, when I say everything's different, it really means physically. I'm an entrepreneur in my mid 50s, thriving. I mean, hundreds of all my friends, we're all entrepreneurs in this town. We love this town. We are our own sense of community, and to see and know all their businesses washed away by that dirty French broad. That dirty French broad washed it away. And railroads, this town is a railroad town. That's how it was built by the Cecils and Biltmore, washed away. There won't be
Mhm.
trains here. There were six, eight trains a day coming through this town. That's where the
Mm.
manufacturing plants that were on the river. It is so contaminated. Our river is dead. There are people that, have washed their clothes in it and have holes in it because the plastic factory leaked the most toxic
Mhm.
chemicals you can imagine into our life waters. We have
Mhm.
a bridge they worked on for 10 years, taking us into Tennessee, collapsed. Their only way in and out now is a two-lane country road, the one I used to travel 20 years ago when I was in pharmaceuticals.
Mhm.
Our, main thoroughfare through 40, another access into Tennessee, mudslides. They don't know when it'll be open again. It could be years.
Mhm.
So we were once, all roads led to Asheville. And in the 20s, it was the gateway to the West. And now we have one road. We're a mountain island, no
Mhm.
longer a mountain town, with all these roads in it. So that it's dramatically changed. And when you're in this and you've built a business, and then we had to go through COVID and we rebuilt a business, and now this one's washed away. You've got a physical business to rebuild with the speculation of, are there going to be people here? Where's everybody going? What's happening to our jobs? You and
Mhm.
I are talking over 3 weeks after this. Half our city still has no water, no restaurants opening. There's no restaurants. Their FEMA is still feeding people through drive-throughs at grocery stores. Hundreds
Mhm.
of people a day. It's different. That's our thriving downtown that still doesn't have water. It's all different. It's all different. And every
Crazy.
day, everybody I talk to in our circle, and maybe I'm just blessed, we're all hopeful. We're all hopeful and we're all digging in.
Yeah, you've
Thanks
had
for
to, like you
asking.
said, grounded, feet grounded, heads in the clouds, and so it sounds like as soon as you woke up that next day and assessed what was going on, you were probably in action mode, right? So kind of tell me a little bit about the responsibilities that you kind of had, that the ones that were kind of just given to you that you really had to just take as like the owner of the farm. What did that look like? What did you have to do to kind of help bring people together and make sure everyone was being fed and had water? What did that look like for you?
Uh, it looks like the most beautiful masterpiece you've ever seen when you know that the people that live on our farm and are also feel that responsibility to care for others. We all came together. We're very sovereign. Everybody has their businesses. We wave, we love each other, we do our thing. This brought us together, and they were cooking and preparing food. Our friends brought in more generators. Everybody is independently in this sovereign, sacred space of caring and in service. And it was a flow that, just like the river, it was a flow of water. People were getting all the boxes, all the supplies came in. Some of the crews here, you know, sweet little Caitlin and Catherine and the bird's nest, and the adorable couple, Crystal and Matthew, they're experienced in service to others. They had all these
Mhm.
boxes. We had them all categorized. So when people were showing up, if they have babies, we have diapers and wipes, how many people are in your household, boxes and boxes that we just graciously and lovingly gave out while we're cooking big pots of kitchery and stew to feed
Mhm.
people healthy, warm, nourishing meals that we infused with a whole lot of things like love. Our neighbor that has Asheville microgreens was donating his food too. So these, we're not just giving out, we're sending them home with canned meals, but we're
Hmm.
sending them also home with warm food and love,
Hmm.
and that it's all going to be okay. And then, there's 60 people just here. And then in our
Hmm.
entire community, we needed to help our farmers that needed chicken feed. So we were the hub with U-Hauls. We got all the hay and the animal feed. So that's really where I was thriving, talking to the other farmers about
Mm.
giving them feed for their animals. And, there was actually even a lot of laughter and joy. I mean, people I never would have met. These people, our farm is so tight now, you know, it's it was just amazing. And then, it's really hard the hard part of it was I've got dozens of employees.
Hmm.
Many of them work in different manners, and they're concerned. They're like, how am I going to get paid? How will I buy food? They're not coming to the farm for their needs. They're doing their own things in service and trying to deal. We have an employee whose entire family's compound right on the river, or they've been fixing cars. They have decades of family history, their legacy right there, gone. And so, the heart space of trying to care for my family, the people that need me. So we have been super grateful. There's many people that have donated in these first couple of weeks to really help everybody get over the catastrophe and into recovery.
Hmm. That's
Mhm.
that's just sad news, especially when you are so close with people like that who've gone through those
Mhm.
losses. But
Yeah.
with all of that, the chaos of everything, you mentioned you got a little Franny's toolbox. So what did you do? What did you pull from in that toolbox to kind of stay calm? Because I know you're into a lot of, trying to help regulate your nervous system. You like enjoy
Yes.
yoga. Did you do any stuff like that that kind of helped you just, be able to breathe and process all this stuff as you're having to like, be in the middle of it and take all that action?
Oh yeah, I love the toolbox. I actually even share that with it's become a community word now because I, talk to people, and one of the most important things in the toolbox is our breath. As is our breath, so is our mind. And to feel uncertain and scared and panicked, which a lot of people do, breath, to regulate the nervous system, to lower the parasympathetic, to keep you in a state of calm. And so now this special tool for a whole farm is just simple breath work. Simple. Breathe
Mhm.
in deep through the nose and hold. So just hold as long as you can, count to 30. Or if you have a special number, I like 33. And then breathe out as slow and as long of an exhale through your mouth, like a straw. Like, feel your belly empty. And just a simple straw breath technique, we all held hands and did it together. And afterwards, after 3 quick breaths, we could all open our eyes and smile. And we're like, this is better. So it was great, even in community. But this is an ancient yogi technique. I did not create it. I just put it in my toolbox because it works so well.
Mhm.
Another thing that we collectively do in like the Franny's Farm toolbox is just to sit on the ground. Sitting oftentimes isn't even enough for me. I love to sit and imagine and that head in the clouds and feet on the ground, pulling the energy up through the ground and through my body. But sometimes that's too much work. I just like lay on the ground like this,
Mhm.
spread eagle, hands up to receive and hands down, just to ground, and to be held by Mother Nature. whose
Mhm.
what we perceive as destruction is just part of the cycle. It's what we do, and it is cleansing. So,
Right.
grounding and earthing is really good, and breath. And then there's always child's pose. Just bow down
Mhm.
to yourself, to your heart, to your God, to one, to the ground. And it immediately, with your head on the ground and your hands above you on the ground. And it is also, I find at this time, which is different. Usually it regulates my nervous system, but this one time it's been more. It's been in prayer and in gratitude to
Mhm.
be here and right here, right now, doing all this.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And
Need to
knowing
take
it,
a deep breath right now, getting a little emotional.
yeah, of course. You've been through a lot, and it's good to see that community has come together throughout this. So, aside from, making food together, feeding each other, holding hands, doing breath work, what else did the whole community there experience together that you haven't shared yet? Because I know it's been a big bonding
Music,
experience. Music.
music, and laughter and fire to burn away the tears and the pain and the
Mhm.
confusion. We sat around fires, and so many people play music here, guitars and drums, and just singing and listening to
Mhm.
music. It raises the vibration, and then having a sense of humor in it too. I mean, I just gotta tell
Mhm.
you, every once in a while, I find this just overwhelming rush of enthusiasm and energy to have this opportunity to create, and just watching what everybody was doing. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot of joy and celebration and a lot of hugs. I met some of our neighbors, and,
Mhm.
one of them just has one tooth. And we laughed and we talked, and, there's a lot to celebrate in it too.
Yeah, finding the joy of humanity, it sounds like, and the fact that you all are quite literally like survivors of the experience and that you're still here, and so
It means a lot.
yeah, and so to speak to that, you'd mentioned that you were fortunate enough that you were pretty prepared because, the farm, you have a lot of different assets and pieces of that puzzle there with, just being prepared. Running a farm, you've got to have these tools like different vehicles and the generators, and you're on a
Mhm.
well system. So, I'm sure you've probably been able to use some of these things, and there might have been some things that you would probably wish you had, but just for someone general out there who now, with the way the world's going, there are more of these natural disasters and emergencies and situations, what this like just general disaster recovery tips could you just share to someone, who isn't maybe not really prepared for anything like that yet? Maybe even something as simple as, where I'm in Florida, we just had another Hurricane Milton and the power has been out for multiple days. Some people have been on a generator for a week. Some people don't have the generator, right? But are there any tips you can just share to someone who, maybe isn't prepared for anything crazy like this, but now we're knowing that hey, it could really happen anywhere to anyone, and we just don't know. So, what could you kind of share as far as some like disaster, kind of like recovery type tips for people?
Yeah, so I've been prepping for this for a long, 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 long time. I grew up on the farm. I was in forestry school years,
Mm.
decades ago, before there was regenerative agriculture and all these other sustainable education. And so went through this drill before there were generators.
Mm.
So, real basic, real basic. Everybody needs just to have one backpack with a water filter in it, a really good one, a life straw, have your matches, have, they called it bug out bags back
Mhm.
when. We've seen these cycles go through over and over. It's very important. It's very important. And I'm so grateful that just the candles, our flashlights, you know, our water filtration, that alone is going to keep you alive and ready. One of those little silver blankets, they're like they pack up like this. Keep one of those
Mhm.
too. Ended up pulling ours out for some really interesting things like keeping the food warm, which is
Mm.
kind of weird. I never have used it for that before, never thought I would. But I was like, when there's no
Mhm.
power and you've cooked on a camp stove and you're pulling it off, that's a good thing to have.
Mhm.
But it's really, really important for people to think about this, because there was nobody prepared around us. And we're grateful that we have the skills to know that there's so many people that didn't even know you could use water to flush their toilets. I cannot even tell you
Oh, wow.
how many people were like, fill up buckets of water so you can flush your toilets. And they're like, what? Didn't
Mm.
even realize that you could gravity flush a toilet. So, some of the things that we're planning as we have our programming, our seasonal programming, October was thriving. We have a land shaman and permaculture classes. We know we're going to be bringing in a little bit more of these skills into our seasonal programming that launches next year. That's a lot of fun. So there'll be more to
Good.
come.
Yeah, I'm glad you share that because those are some, like you said, just having like a little bug out bag just in case. Because yeah, something as simple as being able to flush your toilet just for sanitation purposes is everything. And if you haven't been through that experience before, I guess you might not know that stuff. So it is kind of a reminder for people to just kind of assume like, okay, like learn from experiences of like what you've been through and what other people in North Carolina have been through, and just know that, hey, I mean, a car accident can blow a transformer and put you out of power, and then you're in this similar situation. Doesn't have to be this crazy natural disaster, but it's real. And starting with the water filtration of just basic survival is key. So that was very important. I'm glad you shared that, and thinking about back to the community there and helping each other. I know you guys have like a circular economy there. So can you kind of explain how that works on the farm initially, and then how it kind of followed throughout, the recovery from this disaster you guys went through?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question too. So that's part of our farm, our mission, our values is circular economy. So I've got this
Mhm.
beautiful land, and there's so many people that want to have businesses, but they can't afford to go get land, start from scratch, and I set out when I bought this land 12 years ago. I said, if anybody can figure out how to farm and make it work, it is me. My dad's in heaven now. He's got a watch over me, and I have been working on this my whole life. And so as I am able to share some of these resources, we're creating a circular economy. I've had over 11 micro businesses work on the land. They are in service to the land and generating money for their business. They contribute back to us in either the food that they're growing or a land lease or work on the land. And so, what it does is it continues for all of us to be able to work and survive in a circular economy. Every single person here has their own business, and I've coached them so that they can take advantage of the normal system out there, right? Any
Mhm.
entrepreneur has $20,000 of non taxable income. So a farmer, they don't make a lot of money. We have micro businesses, bees, herbalist here, Utopian Seed Project that started
Mhm.
6 years ago with 2 garden beds and now has 90-foot greenhouses and an acre of growth. This is how we grow. It's called circular economy. It's also called slow money. It's called regenerative. It's the
Mhm.
truth of sustainable economies instead of transactional. I buy this, you ship me this.
Mhm.
No there's no meaning to it other than things and outside. And so for the first time, it's working on the farm and it has been this system, and we're supported by the land. Um,
Mhm.
Bringing that into the outside world, into other economies, this has been where the pharmacy has launched into. So the herbalists growing on our farm right now are all growing, all like over 60% of the botanicals for our herbal tea line, which is a collective. It's a
Mhm.
farm collective of growers that are growing our teas, selling it to our pharmacy, which is then packaging, processing, and shipping, doing all that end of it. So now this circle is getting bigger and bigger, more of a Fibonacci sequence instead of a circle. It's just going to keep going
Mm.
round and round. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What's been probably the coolest uh like thing that you've seen come from this type of circular economy that you've seen? It could be, it could be, of course, the herbal teas, but is there something else that was like, wow, I didn't even expect that?
Um, Well, it really is these herbal and botanical teas. This is when I started the farm 12 years ago and put in, there was only one tea I was growing botanicals for, and it had all the stuff I needed.
Hmm.
And now, in the past couple of years with the herbalist, we have created the 7 chakra gardens. This is what's so beautiful. This is so circular. We now have 7 chakra gardens, each aligned with the herbal tea that has
Hmm.
models. And so you could come to the farm and next season in our programming, actually do self guided tours to the meditation gardens that have
Hmm.
all the botanicals, the trees, the flowers, the sound, the frequency, the time of day, the month. It's developed into this full holistic package beyond just the few botanicals that we have. Our chakra teas each are designed to balance each of our chakras. They're designed just for that. So, like our throat chakra is one of my favorites where I spend much time
Hmm.
because this is the pathway from my head to my heart. And I need both of those to be a good leader. And it has choke berries we put in cough syrup, it has
Hmm.
blueberries, it has blue agate. So, what started out as an herbal tea project and this over 12 years is culminated so much in the past 2 years to come in to a gift that the land and the herbalist are giving to the entire community that can come and visit and experience. I mean, it's
Yeah,
so amazing.
that is cool.
Um, so that's been just like a heart passion. And that's why, living authentically, I don't expect anything to happen super fast anymore. It is, that's been my greatest attachment is time and feeling like I don't have enough time and I create something and I want it now. I'm like, all right, universe, I'm convinced this is what I want. And the unfolding and breathing
Hmm.
through that and using those strategies in the toolbox to know it's already happening, even if I
Hmm.
don't see it. But now
Yeah.
we all get to see it. And so
Yeah,
it's
and
the best.
speaking of time, I think this is interesting, but we've talked before about like your master's thesis back in school, and I heard that, you got yeah, if you explain what your thesis was, and I guess you didn't get the highest grade on that, right? Because they think, oh, this is unlikely for this to occur, and now you literally just lived it. So can you kind of explain that because you're seeing really the full circle of almost insight to the future or what could possibly occur, some type of clairvoyance or premonition. So what was your thesis and how did it turn out to, essentially kind of help you through this situation?
Yeah, so I went to ag school for a year, and the only thing that I really loved about that was the cute guys in their cowboy boots And other than that, I did not want anything to do with big ag. So back in 88, sustainable ag, I was trying to figure, is it ecology, biology? What is it? Forestry was sustainable ag. I went to Northern Arizona and Flagstaff, ended up with a thesis that I had 400 acres I had to write a management plan for. And then we had to create some type of theme for it. And mine was what happens when you have no water and what happens in catastrophe. And this whole thing went around like no water. How do you have resources? How do you sustain life? And ultimately, I got to see, they were like, this is great, but it's a little Star Trek, which was my favorite show at the time. Anyway, Star Trek, not going to happen. 70% of the world is water. And it was deemed unrealistic. And so they dropped. And so I got a C. And I went back. I'm going to tell you right now, I was not happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have many times like that. It is a premonition, it is a path. And I've been dedicated to this for a long time with a sense of knowing. And that's why I'm here. I'm here, right now to be doing this when anybody and everybody has thought I was crazy for decades. But I'm like, look, I got the tools now. I can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, because like you said, you're running on a well system, so you have the water, but you don't have the power to pull the water out. And then all the rivers and the waterways are, toxic sludge at this point. And, we're seeing that people are, helping out with the recovery efforts or having to wear full hazmat gear. And like you
Hmm.
said, holes are being burned through. I've seen the reports of people having burns in their body just from, even pets dying from just being in the water and the mud. So yeah, having clean water, even though the world's 70%, being in a localized area with a disaster like you guys have been through, and like, I mean, some people are reporting to start to get some water in downtown Asheville, but even still, it's not fully clean yet, right? So it's like it's a very real thing. So for you to be able to kind of like think about the idea of what if puts you in a lot better of a situation to deal with this stuff now because you had a little bit more preparation. We're able to actually, you know, help, your community too, just by seeing some of those holes in the system there. So that's awesome. I mean, it's a tough thing to experience, but like if we think about where you're going to move forward now, with the dispensaries and manufacturing and distribution, I know you've got, multiple buildings and pieces of real estate around the area. And you had mentioned that the Merriman store, like your founding store, the building was basically destroyed, mudslide, tree falling. So what's really the plan moving forward? How are you guys going to approach, the next 3 months, 6 months, a year with manufacturing, distribution, and with your retail spaces?
Well, I'm very happy to say that manufacturing is up and running. Everything is back in order there. We use deionized water anyway that's delivered to us. And so as soon as roads were open and we were able to get transportation, you know, back running, operating, distribution, back in operations with an amazing partner and collaborator in our functional mushroom line and beverages. So what a beautiful connection. Merriman, it's yet to be determined. Insurance determines what it is.
Mm,
And they're probably going to say it has to be fixed, but there's mold and we're out of there right now. But very
mm,
exciting in the next couple of weeks. In November, we've relocated to a beautiful,
mm,
amazing space that has a courtyard where people will be able to smoke and enjoy. And we'll be launching that soon. So that's the beauty and that's a
cool.
lotus in the mud that's growing out of the mud. And
Hmm.
another favorite, no mud, no lotus. This is where the most beautiful sacred
Mhm.
stuff comes, is out of the mud. And we've,
Mhm.
back on track. We're so excited. I mean, this has been another big project to release our vegan gummies because, we're really the
Mhm.
health and wellness part of cannabis. There's so much recreational out there, and we've got a strong, strong recreational component. But in the health and wellness, we're releasing vegan line, our new herbal teas, delayed in all of this, but those will still be coming out. Our Hendersonville store is really thriving and has been a source of bringing people into the community. And so,
Mhm.
another really cool thing, everybody's always wondering about what's going on in manufacturing and what are we doing and how does this happen? So, it's back to the roots for manufacturing. There's obviously a lot of financial things that come along with the crisis. And so we've had to release a lot of our contractors and bring it all tight back in to the heart. And so we've got really skilled and talented people in manufacturing, and they're going to be releasing videos every Monday on Manufacturing Mondays. So you can see what we've got in store, and see our processes and see how we infuse this stuff with intention and love and all the healthiest and organic natural products that we can find to grow and buy. So we're going to come out of
Awesome.
this, a lotus.
Yeah. That's so good to hear that you've got the new dispensary location. And so where did you say that one's going to be?
Not going to say quite this second,
Uh-huh.
but it's in a beautiful, amazing part of West Asheville with lots of
Oh,
traffic
cool.
and connection to the community.
Yeah, West Asheville. Awesome. That's gonna be great. Yeah, and when you said vegan gummies, I'm like, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
good to hear. You got, so many of the new products still coming out. And it seems like this situation is bringing the whole organization tighter and more close knit. And, looking out for those videos on Manufacturing Mondays, that sounds great.
They're
Because
so great.
yeah, we want to see what's actually happening on the inside, because you guys create so much of it, with the vertical integration and just doing as much as you can in-house. That's excellent, and it
Mhm.
carries through to your products for sure. So, like moving forward, how can, someone on the outside looking in best support, Franny's Farm and then Franny's Pharmacy as a whole, whether they live in the area or whether they're just outside, say across the coast? What's the best way to support you guys?
Well, love us and buy our products. Buy our products. It is what keeps these people employed right now in a really uncertain time. And I've got a team of people that loves nothing more than to make the best products and get them to people. And so that can be done through Franny's Farmacy, which is Farmacy. We're putting the farm in pharmacy. So here on our farm, um, you can still do self-guided tours and you can visit our website. You can come and visit us. And there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming in the future. So follow us on social media. Just stay engaged with us. We love you and haven't even met you. So introduce yourselves, try our
Mhm.
products and comment. And, that means everything in the world, not only to me, but to a whole team of people that love what they do and want to keep doing it.
Hmm. Excellent. Yes, let's do that for sure. And so, Franny, is there anything else, that we haven't talked about that you did want to share about, anything you guys are going through or anything that the future holds for you there in Western North Carolina?
Um, I think just gratitude. It's one of the most important things in the toolbox. And, um, my gratitude for y'all, my gratitude for everything. Stay with us as it processes. I've had one day to cry. And I cried all day after I went and
Mhm.
saw everything happening. Stay with us. There's going to be more. The processing is where the magic comes out when we get a little bit away from it and get to look back. And so, you know, do no harm, take no shit, because there's a lot of that too happening. And so I just ask for myself and others that we are grateful, compassionate, and doing no harm and taking no shit. you
I love
know?
that. I love that. That's a perfect balance right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. The great way to like wrap this up and close it. So yeah, thanks Franny for like taking the time to give us, that insight on what's really happening, from your experience and just, knowing that you're okay, your employees are doing well, people are back to work and you guys are rebuilding and growing and that's so great to hear. So we're going to send as much gratitude and love as possible and support the business, So thanks so much for just sharing your time and, definitely going to do more of these just to kind of keep this up and check in with you. So, you
I
know,
love that. And I'd love to know if people want to know about these products. I mean, they have been fundamental in the stability and recovery through all of this. And cannabis is a great supporter for when we're in good
mhm.
times and bad. So I hope that
Amen.
people can give us feedback if they'd like to know more about the products, because I would love to talk about how those work.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That'll give us the next
Yeah,
interview.
let's do it
Maybe focus
again.
on some of those for sure.
Perfect.
Awesome, Franny. Well, I know you got a lot to get into at the farm there. So it was great talking to you today and enjoy the rest of your weekend here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.